WRVS-FM HD1 Elizabeth City State University. From the gridiron to the radio. This is ECSU Football Insider, only on WRVS 89.9.
Welcome, Viking fans, to another episode of ECSU Football Insider. I'm Clay Mercer, and with me, as always, is ECSU football head coach Adrian Jones. Coach Jones, welcome to the show, and looking forward to this one. This is going to be a real entertaining one as we talk about last week's game and get ready for this week's game. But how are you overall? How's everything going for you?
It's good. You know, nobody likes to have the moral victory. I'm not a moral victory guy. You know, I appreciate all the admin, staff, and fans that came and said how well we played. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a lesson learned. We just got to play a little bit better and continue to learn how to win.
Speaking of that, you know, a wonderful performance by the Vikings, a great atmosphere inside Armstrong Stadium. It's a great experience for the team, especially going up against a D1 school like the Hampton Pirates.
Yeah, it definitely was a great experience. You know, Hampton used to be in the CIAA, and, you know, we wanted to go up there and get a victory. We thought we matched up very well against them athletically. We got a lot of speed out there. Defensively, we thought we matched up, even though we don't have the same amount of scholarships. But I think as a coaching staff, we had a great game plan to put ourselves in a situation to win.
Yeah, the team put up a strong battle in that game that most people tagged ECSU as the underdog, and we talked a little bit about it in the booth. But just like you just stated, you thought that the Vikings matched up well with Hampton. What did you see leading into the game and some of the film review that you did that gave you that mindset?
Well, we just thought that, you know, that we matched up well on defense. You know, they didn't do a lot of exotic movements on their offensive sets and things. Whatever they lined up in, that's what they were going to stay in. So it was nothing confusing to our defense. And offensively, we thought that we were much faster than those guys with our speed on the edge and our run game and our quarterback. He did a great job of managing the football game. But at the end of the day, we just got to continue to fight all the way to the end. I think we got a little bit complacent as a team toward the end, and we had it saying, you know, no disrespect, but you have to kill a gnat with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, I like that. And it's easy to see early on that the Vikings were on a mission, really, when they went into the game. And, you know, everyone came out of the game talking about how tough the team was and how improved they were from game one to game two. And I know you're not a moral victory kind of guy, but the impressive improvement of this team from game one to game two was very easily seen in the first half especially.
Yeah, preparation is key. You know, we self-evaluate ourselves as a coaching staff, and we want to get our kids in the best situation to win games. One thing about us, we don't fear anybody we line up against. You know, our record from last year doesn't dictate who we are this year. You know, I think we did a great job of recruiting. Not only players but coaches as well, and the kids are starting to buy in. But at the end of the day, you have to learn how to win football games. You know, It wasn't a lot of wins in the last 3 years. I think they won 8 games in 3 years. You know, it's a process, and you know that's what I'm here for, to teach these guys not only how to win, but you know, have good records.
Yeah. Once you arrived in Hampton and the team made their way into the 15,000-seat Armstrong Stadium, I'm sure you had to keep the team focused because the energy was high, and it's just easy to get caught up in the moment. It's another 6 o'clock game. You know, we talked about that, but how do you think the team handled the bigger stage, especially under the lights again?
Well, we talked about it all week. You know, everybody. When you get games like that scheduled, they're paying us money to play them. So it's a reason why they're paying us money, because they think that they're going to beat us. And we had a chip on our shoulder. You know, we wanted a big game like that on stage, but not only did we want the money to help our program in this university, we also wanted to win. Yeah. So we went in with a chip on our shoulder to show the world that we're a much better team than people think we are.
No question about it. Let's jump into some of the first half highlights for a moment. And similar to the first game of the season, the opposing team struck first with the 9:41 mark. Hampton's Brett Starling, 36-yard kick to make it 3-0. But Coach, after 12 plays, ECSU's defense kept the Pirates out of the end zone on that first drive.
Yeah, you know, they hit us with a couple runs. You know, that offensive line was huge. You know, I think they tired us out a little bit on that first drive, but we fought back, and that was big that we kept them out the end zone and got only 3 points. I think that was a momentum shift for us.
Yeah, I thought so too. And ECSU was able to trump that field goal on their first drive of the game. 12 plays, 81 yards, capped off by Chris Perkins' 15-yard touchdown run. Benjamin Turner put the PAT in to give the Vikings a 7-3 lead. Perkins ran that ball effectively throughout the entire game, and he seems to be getting more and more comfortable with every snap. Do you agree?
He's getting comfortable. Like I said, Chris has been out the game for about 2 years. When he was at Shaw University with me, we transitioned him to wide receiver, but when he got here, we kind of had him at wide receiver and quarterback, and he battled. And a nightmare on defense as a defensive coach is a quarterback that can run. Yeah. He couple pass plays, he didn't see anybody, and this week he didn't see anybody. He took it and ran the ball. So you have to account for him every time that ball is snapped.
And his decision-making seems to be quicker. When he sees that there's nothing, he goes to plan B, and plan B pretty much worked well for him in this game against Hampton. I get a little nervous when he runs. And when the quarterback, he runs, he scrambles, quarterback keeper, whatever it may be, but I understand that's just part of the skills that he brings to the team. He was the second leading rusher on the team behind running back Traquan Johnson. Is that a stat that you hope will change, or is it just part of his game that you'll lean into as the season continues?
I don't think we game plan that we're going to run the ball. Like you said, a lot of those yards was off of the defense playing good coverage, and nobody was open. He tucked and ran the ball. We definitely want our running backs to get most of those carries. But not only that, I think he did a good job of managing the game and throwing the ball to 8 different wide receivers on Saturday. That shows you how deep we are on that side of the ball.
That receiving core, my goodness, your tight ends, your wide receivers, a lot of them stepped up in this game, and I was just excited, and you talked about it before. We just got to get the playmakers the ball and let them do what they do.
Yep. It's something that he needs to understand. Get the ball out your hands and let those toys go. Get you those passing yards that you need. And shout out to Joe Griffin, his true freshman. Yeah. His first touchdown against a big time opponent. And he was happy, and I was happy to see him get that momentum. I think he had like 4 or 5 catches. I thought he should have been Rookie of the Week, but he's just going to keep chopping at the bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a few moments too. Coach, 9 plays later, Hampton will respond with a 3-yard touchdown run by Jackie Davis to reclaim a 10-7 lead. On this drive, their running back Snipes had a huge 31-yard run up the middle to get into ECSU territory. That can be demoralizing when that happens right up the gut, but he had a bigger impact on the game in the second half. You could see why he led the Pirates in rushing last season. How difficult is it to prepare for a player who can run the ball as efficiently as Snipes can?
Well, we knew that he was a good running back, but it's a little different when you walk out there and field and you see those giants up front, offensive line-wise, and I think they kind of wore us out a little bit in the third and fourth quarter, and they did the difference is in the scholarships they rotated some of the offensive linemen where we won't rotate in our defensive line. I think they wore us out a little bit, but he picked and chose. He wasn't greedy, when he could hit those home runs like he did. He was patient, and just shout out to that young man because I thought he did an excellent job of running the ball on Saturday.
Definitely. And you talked about the defense. They set the tone for a dominant second quarter after the Vikings turned the ball over on a fumble near the end of the first quarter. ECSU was staying strong by making the Pirates turn the ball over on downs on their next 2 drives. Defensively, specifically, just speak on their effort.
I thought they had a great effort. I thought they flew around the ball. They were disciplined. But that thing is a tale of 2 different halves. We talked to them after the game. You play lights out the first and second quarter, but the third and fourth quarter, when we're still up 10. If they don't score, we win the football game. It's just little things like that. We're not upset. We're all human at the end of the day, but. It's a lesson learned. You take this film and you dissect it, and it's good teaching tape to show us the way of trying to better ourselves for the season.
You talked about the tale of 2 halves, and that's pretty much been the theme within the first 2 games. Of course, the Vikings do such a great job going into the locker room at halftime with the lead in both games and then having a tough second half. Is that something that worries you, something that you feel as though there's some areas that we need to shore up in order to make the second half kind of match the first? It
doesn't worry me, but we got to have some buzzwords and things like that to get our guys to lock in and understand that we have not scored in the third and fourth quarter. We were driving the ball down the field. We got the ball back at the half, and we were driving the ball down the field, and we were very efficient. We were milking the clock, and we fumbled with 9 minutes and 27 seconds, and that hurt. I think that kind of took a little air out of us. They responded. They got a little bit of the mojo, but we just got to learn how to protect the ball. We had a bad snap that we didn't have any bad snaps the whole game. Just little things like that we got to clean up, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, before we get there, the Vikings will make the Pirates pay for those turnovers, as Perkins, as you talked about, would find freshman tight end Joe Griffin, and the Durham product will get his first touchdown of the season, give the Vikings that 13-10 lead. And again, you feel pretty good about Griffin and his growth as he continues to grow as a Viking.
Yeah, he's the perfect prototype tight end. We're gonna continue to get him in the weight room and work hard. You don't see too many freshmen to come to a university anywhere in the country and start.
Yeah.
But he's worked hard. He's got here this summer, learned the offense, and he's a very intelligent kid.
Yeah. Hampton would fumble the ball back to ECSU on their next drive, and the Vikings will be in good field position. Perkins capped off a 5-play drive with a 22-yard touchdown run to extend the Vikings' lead 20-10 after the turn of PAT. Coach Perkins and that offensive front line just get the job done once again.
Man, it was the turnover was big, but on that drive we made it so hard to score. I mean, we going back and forth. We got the momentum, then we go backwards, and lo and behold, it was I think it was 4th and 20.
Yeah.
The minimum seconds left, we went empty, and he did what we asked him to do. He see green grass, tuck it and run, and he just showed off his speed there and his want to score points.
Yeah, it was exciting for the Vikings to go into the locker room with the 20-10 lead, but can the Vikings weather the storm that was coming in the second half? And we could pretty much say literally. We'll talk about what I mean in a few, plus we'll preview Saturday's first home game of the season. That's coming up next here on ECSU Football Insider.
Get your tickets now for ECSU football online at ECSUVikings.com.
It's Peter Sagal. Congress has ended federal funding for public media, but this station's best bet has always been you. Take control of the station's future. Become a sustaining member today. Here's how.
Use your credit or debit card online at WRVS899.com and support what you love today.
This is ECSU Spotlight. The Department of Education has produced thousands of well-prepared teachers and successful school administrators. Prospective teachers learn necessary concepts to be successful in the classroom with diverse populations. The department offers graduate programs in school administration, elementary education, biology, and mathematics. Learn more about the Department of Education online at www.ecsu.edu. Elizabeth City State University. Come to discover, leave to conquer.
Let's get back to ECSU Football Insider online at WRVS899.com.
Back with you here on ECSU Football Insider. Clay Mercer with ECSU football head coach Adrian Jones. Coach, we have to give kudos to running back Traquan Johnson for picking up the CIAA Offensive Back of the Week honors. He averaged about 5 yards per carry against Hampton, 121 yards from scrimmage for the young man. Your thoughts on Johnson's overall performance?
His overall performance was very good. We'll start off with just protecting the quarterback, in the passing game. He did a good job of blocking. Not only that, we know that he can run the ball. We get him the ball like he's a grinder. He can run. He can make you miss in the telephone booth. He's the complete running back, but he did an excellent job of catching the ball out of the backfield. Some crucial plays that our quarterback got the ball to him, and he made things happen.
Yeah, outstanding job by him. Kudos to him. Let's jump into more of what the second half had for the Vikings, and what they had in store for ECSU was delay because of storms that were around the stadium. Fans were evacuated. Everybody left out for a period of time, and the players had to stay in the locker room for an extended amount of time. Your thoughts, Coach, did this delay have an impact on how the second half would progress?
I think it kind of the momentum. We were walking out, we were excited, and then we get halfway to the field and we get turned around. I think that kind of, not as coaches, we still were prepared, but the kids, that they're amped up, and now they got to calm down to wait till the storm goes through. But we continue to talk to them and let them know that the game wasn't over. No matter what, the game has to be played. But we just got to do a better job.
Yeah, and extended delays like that, is there some things that the players will do in the locker room to keep the body lively, to keep the legs going? Is there any kind of procedures that you all go through with the team?
Yeah, we keep them moving. We talk about the game plan. The coaches, keep them upbeat. We might say a couple jokes and stuff just to laugh, things like that. But the main thing is stretch and hydrate. So we continue to stretch and hydrate and just make sure our guys were prepared.
Yeah, I know you said you want this team to be the best conditioned team in the conference, and I believe the Vikings are that. The delay, we didn't know how long it would go on for, but thankfully it came to an end, and ECSU came out of the locker room with that 20-10 lead. Add on the fact that the Vikings get that ball back to start the third quarter, and everybody was just feeling really, really good about the place that ECSU was in. It was really a chance for us to separate ourselves from the Pirates. Talk about the game plan going into that third quarter.
Well, going into the third quarter, we wanted to manage the clock. We knew that we could run the ball on them, and we came out and we went downhill on them, ran the ball, and we're efficient with running the ball, getting the ball out of our quarterback's hand, not no deep balls, but just taking what they give us. And like I said, our Chris Perkins scrambled on a run and tried to get a couple extra yards. I thought that his elbow was down, but at the end of the day, referees are humans as well, and they miss some calls. But at the end of the day, I thought that we had a good game plan, but we can't turn the ball over.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that play in a few moments. But on a drive that started on the ECSU 27-yard line, the Vikings would march down the field to the Hampton 30, and an ECSU face mask push us back about 15 yards, and we had to punt that ball away to finish off that drive. It's a tough way to end the drive, and as you stated before, the Vikings can't have big penalties like that go against them and expect to win games like this.
Yeah, we just got to stay disciplined. Things happen like that, but we always had this saying, something good happen, keep playing, something bad happen, keep playing, and that's the reason why we talk about it each and every week. It's just there's going to be some situations where they get their mojo, but we got to learn how to take that mojo back.
Yeah, no question. The Pirates started to assert themselves, especially with the ground game after that. Snipes would finish a 15-yard play, 80 yards on the drive, 15 plays on the drive with a touchdown run, trimming the Vikings' lead down to 3. The next drive for ECSU to start the fourth ended with a Perkins fumble on the first drive, but ECSU would get the ball back later and continue to run the ball well. A Johnson 22-yard run was called back due to a holding call, and that's, you talk about momentum, Coach. It halted the momentum due to that penalty. The second half just has not been very kind to us so far this season, especially when it comes to plays like this.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a holding call. Johnson was already on the second level, and most of the time you always talk about if it doesn't affect the play, you don't throw the flag. But at the end of the day, they threw the flag. I thought that big run, we score a touchdown that takes the air out of those guys, but it didn't happen that way, and we stayed positive. Yeah. We knew that we still were in the football game, and we had them, scared.
Yeah, maybe a little home seasoning over there in Hampton, but anyway, they would convert a field goal at the 5:16 mark to tie the game up. Then their running back Snipes would provide the winning touchdown run at the 39-second mark. Not a lot of time left for ECSU, but I'm sure you've practiced these late games and short times that you have. What is the game plan with such a short time, especially in this situation where the Vikings needed a touchdown?
Well, we always preach that as long as there's time on the clock, it ain't over until the fat lady sings. And we prepared. Coach Hester did a great job of preparing us to get down the field to have an opportunity to win. And I think our guys really had our backs, because most teams in college football would have hung their heads down and basically quit, but we didn't have any quit in us.
Yeah, and getting down the field is exactly what ECSU was able to do. The controversial final play is what everybody talked about. It was all on social media. You saw pictures, you saw video. My goodness, a great pass by Perkins. It was a deep pass that was caught by E.J. Gatling at the Pirate 2-yard line, and they say that he was stopped at the 1, and that would end the game for the Pirates, and they would win it 27-20. Coach, your final thoughts on how that whole final play ended up?
Well, it's clear that he scored, but at the end of the day, I wonder why do we have replay and you don't overturn that. But at the end of the day, we should have never been in that situation. At that point, we can blame the referees, but at the end of the day, if we hit our extra point, it's 21-20. At the end of the day, you got to look at all the aspects of the football game. Had he scored, we was gonna go for 2. We weren't going in overtime.
That was
we already had a
we
already had a 2-point conversion already dialed up,
Wow.
and we was gonna try to get out of there with a win in the regular session.
Yeah, no question. And again, when I looked up at the screen inside the stadium, all they had up there was Pirates win. I didn't see them put that back up there for people to see. I know they had to review it. From where we were looking at it, I thought he broke the plane. I thought that was a touchdown, and we were questioning whether you would go for 2 or not, and I felt like you would, because in regulation, we want to finish this out and go home on a bright note. But again, it was very controversial. Your overall, again, a much stronger outing for ECSU compared to Game 1. Give me the positives that you take away from this game that'll help us out in the game coming up this Saturday.
Well, the positives, we ran the ball well. We did a good job of running the ball. I think Traquan did a great job of running the ball. Our offensive line protected the quarterback, opened up holes for the running back. We only had 1 sack, and that was at the end of the game. On 4th down, we tried to go for it to get that first down to continue to move on the drive. Only had 1 bad snap, and I think Joe Johnson is doing a great job of, undersized center, but he is tough as nails. Special teams, like I said, we missed the extra point, but I think we're getting better and better on special teams each and every week. As you can see, they're not kicking it deep to our guys, so now we have the game plan of trying to get our guys the ball on special teams. But it's just a credit to our whole coaching staff and how we have managed to make this team a much better team than we've seen.
They know, and a lot of the opposing teams know how dynamic our returners can be. So that's why they're not trying to kick it back there. But not only that, I thought Darius did a fine job when punting the ball and kicking the ball. Just doing a great job putting it in places where you don't give the other team great field position. So, again, kudos to the special teams who you feel like I think is much stronger than they were even last season. I think they are much better, and that's definitely what we see in the booth when we do these games. But, Coach, speaking of this week's game, ECSU will finally play a home game as they welcome Johnson C. Smith to Roebuck Stadium. The Golden Bulls team that's coming off an eye-popping and eye-opening 28-16 win over Division II power Valdosta State. Coach, JCSU has had 2 straight winning seasons in that program, just getting better and better. Kudos to them. But tell us what you know about this Golden Bull football team.
Well, Coach Flowers inherited a team that wasn't used to winning, and I think he's done a great job. Like the first year, I think they were like 3-7. The second year, I think they were like 5-5, and out of those 5 games that they lost within 3 points. So it was a maturation period of learning how to win. And then the next year they were 7-3, and now they were 8-2. So the buzz is around on them. They're a good football team. They got turnovers last week, and they capitalized off those turnovers. They're good on offense. They're good on defense. Their quarterback is a mobile quarterback, so he adds a little fire to their offense, and their defense is pretty seasoned. I think they do a good job on defense. But I do think we match up well. And, granted that they played a top-tier team in Division II football, I don't think that they'll see a more athletic team that they'll see against us. But that doesn't mean anything. We have to show up and show out, though.
When you look at what Johnson C. Smith has done over the past couple of seasons, turning that program around, is that kind of the vision that you see here at ECSU, where you start to have those seasons? And again, you talk about the process. It is a process here too.
It's definitely the same kind of vision, but I want our kids to have a winning season this year. I think we have an opportunity to win some games. I don't want to be in too many more games where we lose close ones. Right. I want to learn how to win close ones now, and I think that'll give us a lot of momentum going into the rest of the season. But it's a conference game. It's not a conference game that goes against us, but at the end of the day, we're playing a conference foe. I know Coach Flowers very well. When I was in the Southern Division, we battled, so it's a lot of similarities. But they're going to come confident, but it's a home game, and I told our kids that we got to protect the home field advantage. We got to do what we're supposed to do. This is my first one at home, and I want our fans to see an even better product with a W.
Yeah, I think the fans want to see that too. It'll be Employee Appreciation and Academic Day at Roebuck Stadium. Kickoff set for 1 p.m., and we want you to be at Roebuck Stadium. We need to fill that up and give our Vikings the atmosphere that they need so they can pick up their first win, not only of the season, but their first win at home, their first home win. And you can be there. Tickets are on sale right now at ECSUVikings.com. Get your tickets now. And don't forget, radio coverage of the game will begin at 12:30 with the pregame show. Coach, I want to give you some time to talk to the Viking faithful who will be at Roebuck Stadium. It's going to be an exciting first home game for you and the team, and it's going to be an exciting atmosphere this Saturday.
Get your tickets early. Come down to Roebuck Stadium and represent Elizabeth City State University football team and fans. We look forward to y'all coming, and we look to get a victory against a great football team. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to prepare, and we're going to make you guys proud.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. Again, family, if you missed out on any parts of today's show, you want to catch up on past shows, just go to the WRVS 89.9 YouTube channel and listen anytime. That'll be it here for ECSU Football Insider. Coach, thank you for making this happen. Good luck this Saturday, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
ECSU Football Insider is produced at WRVS Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University, powered by the ECSU Department of Radio and Television Services. Learn more online at WRVS899.com.